Okay, I'm very excited to introduce you to Gen B. And so she is a business coach, but she really works within the empowerment coach. And I like that because there's a very big difference between somebody who's just coaching you and somebody who's empowering you, particularly when it comes to business. She's the founder of Grow, which is get ready to own your worth. How many of you guys like that? So she actually left a six-figure corporate career and closed her first business. And then she rebuilt to six figures in 6 months through mindset shifts, community, my favorite word, and consistent aligned action. Also, these are some really powerful words because some of us take consistent action, but they're not aligned. And now she helps women entrepreneurs stop hiding. She teaches you how to show up authentically. She teaches you how to build visibility, but with consistency. And this is so that you can supercharge your impact and supercharge your income. So, again, grab a pen and paper. She's going to drop some good stuff. I'm going to go ahead and hand it over to her.
All right. Thank you, Tara and team. I'm super excited to be here today. I will start off by letting you know that I'm a little bit of a truth teller. I'm not here necessarily to be your best friend today. I'm here to help you grow, but I'm going to start off with the story that I'm curious if anybody can actually relate to. I actually haven't been visible for the majority of my life. In fact, growing up, I was actually a very, very shy kid. And what I will tell you is that I am the kiddo of two Cuban immigrants. English is not my first language. And in seventh grade, I ended up in an honors English class. Now, Spanish is my first language, and typically in Spanish, what you see is what you say. English doesn't work that way. So our teacher had us reading out loud, and when it was my turn to read out loud, I often would butcher new words that I'd never seen before. And I had a boy who sat behind me. His name was Daniel. And he'd say things like, Jen, quit while you still can. Jen, go back to where you came from. So when I became an entrepreneur 3 years ago, guess who came back? Daniel. Now, I haven't seen Daniel since I was 14, but all to share with you that there was a moment of, I've got a business and I want to talk about it and I want to be visible, but I've got some itty bitty shitty committee crap going on in my head. Excuse my language. So with that, had to do some work, my friends. And here's one thing that I will tell you, and please take this with you today. You're going to hear a lot of similarities between all the speakers. A business we don't talk about is called a hobby. Hobbies are fine. I just don't expect them to pay my bills. So today, my friends, we get to be consistent. We get to be authentic. We get to show up in what resonates for us. And I'm curious if anybody in this room can relate to this. Here's what I've realized over the last 3 years being an entrepreneur. There are a ton of lurkers in this world. So many freaking lurkers. And every day when you get to, notice I didn't say have to, when you get to show up on social media, you're either teaching folks that you are trustworthy, consistent, or you're basically saying, hey, I'm kind of unpredictable. I'm not quite sure what I'm doing. And that teaches our lurkers and our folks, our community, kind of how we show up. So today, my goal for you is to help you come up with a plan that works for you. This is not a plan that's going to work for, it's not meant to be for anybody else. It is meant to be your authentic aligned plan. Before I get too far though, I'm going to ask, it's a silly question. How many of you brush your teeth? Good job. All right. How many of you take a shower? Most of us. Okay. What I'm trying to prove here, my friends, is that we're already consistent with certain things in our life. So when there's that itty bitty going on and you're like, I'm inconsistent, okay, you may be inconsistent with social media, but there are other transferable skills from the other things you do in life that you do very regularly and probably even without thinking about it that get to come into this space as well. Y'all got me? Okay. So first off, before I go super far, I want to just chat real quick about the concept of frequency versus consistency. Frequency is how many times can I do this thing? And some of us, when we start new habits, we're like, I'm going to do this 15 times a day. I'm going to do this 7 times a week. If that serves you, go for it. But I'm going to guess that if you're currently at 0 to 1, 7 or 15 sounds like a big leap. And so maybe we go to 2 to 3. Maybe we stay with one for a couple of weeks and we build in that little evidence and that little self-confidence to keep us continuously being consistent. Because again, I'm going to remind you that people are constantly watching. So what are you teaching them? Right? Okay. So consistency is an aligned plan that I can, with an 80-90% commitment, say, I'm going to do this every week instead of going all in to go all out. So what I'm going to share with you today is a little structure that's helped me, and I'll give you an example, and many of my clients find that aligned consistency. Now, Serafina talked about this a little bit earlier today, and I'm also a big fan of 3 types of posts. We may call them different things, they're the same thing. Number one, your engagement post. This is your connective post. This is meant to be human. You're just a human. Okay? You're not always meant to talk about your business. This is your stop and spend some time with me post. Okay? Number two, your educational post, which is I'm going to teach you something. I'm going to share something with you. There's some kind of nugget in this. And number three, your promotional post. Because here's the thing, a business we don't talk about is called a hobby. But a business where there's no offer, in my perspective, is called selfish. Look at me go. Look at me show up. I got nothing for you. Don't come too close. Okay. So taking those 3 types of post, educational, engagement, and promotional, we then get to create a cadence. The first place we start with our cadence is how many times a week do I feel I can consistently, and when you hear consistently, I want you to think 90 days at least, consistently post. And just for the sake of today, we're going to say that's 3 times. Okay. I am a big fan of AI. I don't think AI is meant to run our businesses, but I think it's meant to be a tool. So with that, I'm going to drop an AI chat in the chat, an AI prompt in the chat that I often use. So I would say, give me a certain number of times we want to post on social media weekly. We'll call it 3. Letter acronym for social media posting cadence. I need an educational, promotional, engagement post. Okay, this next piece for me is all about alignment. You're a business coach, you are a money coach, you are a social media coach. What are you? And make it for fun for me for extra bonus points. Okay, so I'm going to share my acronym and then I'm going to encourage everybody to again consider what yours may be. A lot of my clients use the acronym JOY just because it's 3 words, typically ties pretty well into a social media cadence. It sparks joy, so that's one that we often see. But the tagline for my company is you are worthy of impact and income. So the word I play with all the time is worth. WORTH. It happens to work really well for social media posting cadence because it's 5 times for me and that's aligned. So I'm going to share this on my screen real quick. And this is just my little, sorry, I'm having okay, let's see if we try this again. Okay. And I'll drop this guide in the chat here for you to grab it with the link here shortly. And I'm just going to keep it kind of simple here. Okay, so worth for me in my business. Here we go. Okay, so on Monday we win your Monday. What that means is, and I'm going to make this a little bigger for all of us. Okay, is what is your win for the week? In other words, I'm asking you what your goal is. Okay, on Tuesday I'm going to own a piece of our story again. What we mentioned earlier, tell a personal story or a lesson learned. So the O is own your story. Wednesday is real relationships. So shout out a collaborator, a testimonial, or someone inspiring. Thursday is tips Thursday. So sharing a reflection. And Friday is highlight or hype Friday. So share a win or celebrate a win. Okay. That's my posting cadence. And that is a way that I connect with my clients. So again, your acronym is meant to be connected to your clients with things that you love, with the cadence and the consistency that best works for you. Where I'll end my time here today is just simply sharing that there are people in this world who are waiting for you to show up. And there's someone in this world who is consistently going to go without you showing up. I'm not talking about somebody in the same industry you're in or geography or any of those things. I'm talking about you with your authentic and real story. So posting on social media, showing up, visibility is not about perfection. Many times it's actually about sharing your messy middle. So I'm going to ask you to, again, if you're feeling 50, 60, 70% good about what you're posting one day, press the darn button and help somebody find you because this world needs more impact than income, my friends. Thank you for your time, Tara and team. We've got one in the chat called Spark. I love it. Share, promote, ask, relate, and knowledge drop. So thank you for working on that.
Wow. Jen, I took
Yes.
notes. This was great. Do you guys see now why she says she's an empowering coach, not just a coach, right? Because don't you feel so empowered after listening to her? I loved what you ended with, that we need, say that again. That was really powerful, that we need more impact,
We need
not.
more impact and income in this world, my
I
friends.
love this. I love this. One thing that I took, and so I'm not a cursor, but I have to say this was my favorite thing she said, a little itty bitty shitty committee. And I was like, yeah, we all got that going on, right? I have to say, the women I work with, you guys, we all have that little committee that's got a lot of opinions. So I love that. I thought that was great. But the other thing that you said that was very powerful, and we talk about this a lot because I see women and they start a business and they call it a business, but they run
Mhm.
it like a hobby. And the thing that you said that was powerful, and I said, yes, this is what we talk about. She said, a business we don't talk about is a hobby. And that's fine, but a hobby doesn't pay your bills. And that was really, really great. I talk about my brother. I use him as an example. My brother plays golf and he has all the golf stuff, the expensive golf stuff, and he pays to play on the expensive courses. And he's invested money, lots of money into learning how to play golf, right? And he knows all the things and he's got the golf outfit. Like if you looked at him, you might think he was a golfer, like a real, you know what I mean? Because he's got all the things. But my brother only plays golf when it's convenient and when he feels like it. That's why it's a hobby and he will never get paid for it. That's why he is not a pro, even though he's taking the classes, even though he has all the things, even though he looks like the golfer. He does it when it's convenient, when my sister-in-law is like, sure, go play golf, right? But a pro plays whether they feel like it or not, right?
100%.
Like they have to show up every day. And so I love this because when you don't talk about your business, even when you don't feel like it, right? So that was powerful what Jen shared. And I love the AI prompt. And if you are not here live and you're watching the replay, I'll make sure that that is in the description and the notes so that you can find that and get her stuff. So thank you, Jen. I'm going to go ahead and stop our recording.